I will tell you, do not give up on your people. Don't give up on us. Sometimes man, we feel like we are all alone in this world. But with the caregiver around, we have that hope that there's still light at the end of the tunnel.
There are nights, because of how he struggles to get in bed now or get out of bed. It means I have not had a full night of sleep. Because if he has to get up to go to use the bathroom, I hear him. And sometimes when he stands, he gets out of bed, it's harder for him to get up, so I have to help pull him out.
The ability to stand, or the ability to walk, or the ability to sit, or the ability to conduct what we call motor patterns is heavily dependent on conduction of impulses by the nerves. And therefore, if there is a deficit in impulse connection, then it presents itself as a paralysis at some point.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Diagnosis. My name is Esther Ashira and I'll be your host today. Today we are talking about multiple sclerosis.
Multiple sclerosis is a neurological disease. We say it's a demyelinating disease, meaning that it demyelinates or it eats away the part of a nerve cell that we call the myelin sheath.
And today we are going to hear Martin's story through his lovely wife, Robai. Karibuni sana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And it's good to have you today.
Thank you.
Or should I say thank you for having us because we're in your home. Yes, please introduce yourself.
My name is Robai Musilivi Moirore, and I am married to Martin. We have 4 children, and I am a crafter.
Wow. You are a crafter. Mm-hmm. Tell us more about crafting.
It's how I relax.
Wow.
I craft as a way of relaxing.
Mm.
I enjoy making anything that can be done by hand. I'll try and do it. Mm. I knit, I crochet, I make jewelry, I sew, and I also teach other skills.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us about Martin. When did you guys meet?
We met in 2002. No, 2004.
Okay.
We met in 2004, August. And we got married in 2008, July. Yes.
When was he diagnosed?
He was diagnosed in 2002.
2002,
yes.
So you guys met when he had already been diagnosed?
Yes. In fact, the day I was seeing him for the first time, thank God it flopped. He even had the cannula because he was still going for his, there was medication that he used to be given.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we were meeting, now we met a week later after he had completed the dose.
Yeah. So did he tell you about his diagnosis the day you met, or did it come later?
The day we met, the first time I saw him, he told me about MS.
Okay.
Yes, and he told me about the diagnosis. He walked with a gait, like you couldn't really place it, but you could see.
Yeah.
So he explained that, yeah, I have MS, and I didn't know about MS. I'd never heard of MS. So that night I went and read.
Yeah.
Yes.
And after reading, did it affect your perception, your decision?
You see, I just met him. It was the first time. So I had time to think. I'd been praying for a spouse. And it was also time for me to wrestle with God. Like, God, you've allowed me to meet this guy. But also it was a season when I was meeting so many guys. Like, he was one of the many guys I was meeting or getting calls from, because I had just won Miss University International, so I was, quite some things. So he was one of the many guys I was meeting, but then there was something different about him. So I was in the place of asking God, is this the guy? So the more we continued talking on phone, the more we continued meeting, the easier it became for me to even understand. So once I understood what MS was, and at that time, you'd go on the website and it said about 2 out of 2 million people, 1 in a million people have MS.
Okay.
So then there's no known cause and no known cure. It was quite scary. Yeah, and then of course how the disease progresses, there isn't really much hope. Yeah. So once I overcame that, then it was easier for me to be his girlfriend. Yeah.
Wow. Indeed, that's true love. That's true love. That is true love. So how has his condition changed over the years?
When we met, he was working with a gait. He used to work. He was gainfully employed. We used to do rounds in town, like we would walk together, take matatus together. Over time, that has changed. Like, he used to use his right hand, now he doesn't use it. He never even used to have a walking cane. Now he has a walker and a wheelchair that we have. He used to type, he used to do most of the things for himself. Now he's doing very few things for himself.
Yeah.
So it's been quite progressive. But then it's been 18 years? So we belong to a group called MS Kenya, and I have seen so many MS patients in Kenya, and I have seen how they progress. Because of his diagnosis, which is secondary progressive, it's been quite slow in how MS moves.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been blessed in that we've not seen that drastic progression.
Yeah. Wow. And at what point did you realize that you are getting into a full-time caregiver?
Before we got married, I kinda knew that I'm in. But then he was employed, I was employed, we had different jobs. But then in 2012 January is when I now finally resigned formal employment. I knew that was it. And now he still went to the office, but then I would go with him because he worked with his dad, so it was easy. So I continued to do my crafts at the office. When he couldn't go to the office anymore, then I knew that's it, which was about, I think, 2016, 2017, thereabout. 2018, I think. Yeah, thereabout. I knew that, we are in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like you to walk us through the normal day in your life.
Normal day in our life.
Now as a caregiver.
Okay. I have 2 sets of normal, or maybe 3.
Yeah, can you hear them?
Probably a typical day. Yeah. A typical day is when I'm trying to pick what's typical. There are not many of such, but they're quite spread out. There are nights, because of how he struggles to get in bed now or get out of bed. It means I have not had a full night of sleep. Because if he has to get up to go to use the bathroom, I hear him. And sometimes when he stands, he gets out of bed, it's harder for him to get up, so I have to help pull him out. But that means I'm awake if he's going to pee 3 times. Now, those are the harder nights. Many times I don't hear him, especially now that recently he got some grip socks, which we are so grateful for.
Oh, wow.
He's able to stand and take himself. The typical nights also, when I hear him go, I'm forever praying, God, please help him not to fall. Please hold him. So there are not as many nights I've had full nights. Typical day, now he's able to move around on his own, like after wakes up, squeeze for him toothpaste. He'll go take a shower if he's going. Then comes, sits down for breakfast, give him his medicine. We take our breakfast. He walks out to sit as I go do my thing. So he's not fully dependent on me on most days. But if he needs help, like standing up, he will. But also we've made some adjustments. Like he doesn't sit on the couch because I need to pull him. It's harder for him to pull himself out. We've put chairs where we've started so he's able to sit on them. That way he can get himself up easily. Yeah. Wow. And then, in the evening, we go to bed. If he needs help standing, we just pull him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's been a journey, many years, but where are you right now emotionally?
I don't know. I'm having to give it a few thoughts because it's become so much part of me that I am not too sure I'm in a good space.
Yeah, wow.
I'm in a good space because I tell people Martin is easier to take care of because he helps me. When I'm very tired, when I haven't slept nicely, or if I tell him I'm having a headache, after breakfast I want to go back and nap, I will go back and nap, and he will try not to even come in the room so that I can have nice time of sleeping. So I'm in a good space emotionally. I just know that I need to take care of myself more. Like there are days I forget to take care of myself. Go to the salon and just get your hair braided. There was a time 2 years ago I didn't even know what my favorite color was because I was overwhelmed with everything. But now I'm okay. Yeah.
Wow. So there is hope even for those who've just been diagnosed and they don't know how tomorrow will look like, or they don't know what they will, like what to expect. At least hearing from you, having taken care of Martin, having lived with Martin for all those years, and you're talking like this. You know, when people get at that point, they're like, I am tired. But what you're saying is totally different.
Yeah, for me, the reminder is always why. Like, first of all, Martin is my husband.
Yeah.
He's my friend. And then he's a patient. So sometimes I have learned to separate, like, this is a patient moment, and this is a husband moment, and this is a friend. So we have times when we are joking around and we are laughing around because he's my husband and he's my friend. And then there are times when we get into character or get into action and get into patient mode. Like he wants me to help him read something because his eyesight cannot see. And I'm like, no, you have a navigator thing on your phone. Do it.
Wow.
Yeah, because then it's a patient, not my husband. Yeah. Or I'll help him up or I'll help him put on his shoes because he's now a patient who needs my assistance. Yes.
What do you think makes people live? I'm sure you have interacted with a number of people, probably in a similar situation or in the same situation, circumstances different though, but they have left or they have given up along the way.
I remember many years ago, a friend of mine asked me, Robai, how are you doing? I broke down and cried because nobody had ever asked me, how are you doing? And I'd never asked myself. I didn't know that I'm supposed to ask myself, how am I doing? I cried, and that time gave me a realization that I need to check in on myself first. I think most caregivers do not know how to ask themselves. So you're breaking down little by little because you don't know how you're doing. And then because you don't know, so you don't know how to deal. You don't know how to ask yourself pertinent questions like, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Once you can answer those questions on a daily, then you're able to move on. And I think one of the reasons is caregiver fatigue, because you get tired. And then the other thing is there's the patient entitlement, that even us, when we are sick, we expect people to be there and do things for us. So without knowing, when you're a patient, you kind of get the patient entitlement. That's what I call it. So you end up crushing the people who are taking care of you. And because they're human, they get tired. And they're like, you know what, you can stay, I'm gone. And they go without realizing that this is patient entitlement, and there's a way to deal with it. You're like, by the way, you're coming a bit too much. Yeah, that one is not nice. So I think that's two reasons. The other thing is, I have found, and I want to call people society. One time Martin fell, and it wasn't, he has fallen so many times, and it's never his fault or anyone's fault, but because his body just gives him. I told someone, a friend of mine, by then Martin fell. The first question was, where were you when he was falling? I was like, what? But that's how we do not know. Society doesn't know how to deal. So this caregiver who's giving up, who's walked away, they've probably received that. Like, they were getting bed sores. Where were you? How were they getting this? So it's like you're being blamed. You're like, you know what? I cannot be blamed. Yeah, let me just walk away. I leave you guys to also try. So I find that those are some of the situations that I have come across from my own experience and the people that I've talked with. And I also think caregiving does not get a recognition it deserves. I think everyone who is a caregiver, they are doing it by choice. I don't think you can ever be paid enough. Even the ones who are being paid, I don't think you can ever be paid enough to assist somebody. Yeah, so I don't think caregivers get the recognition they deserve. And I'm not saying accolades and clapping and you're doing an awesome job. No, it's just, a friend of mine called me the other day and she told me, Robai, I would like to care for you. I would like to help you. I'd like to work with you. How can I work with you? And I told her, but I don't know. And then she was like, what is it that Robai wants? And I had to think about it for so long. I told her that recently I've been looking at my clothes and I'm thinking I need to change. But I like how, like I was telling, how you dress. And I think you have a stylist. I would like one time to just hang out with a stylist because I need to dress this body right now. I'm used to dressing the other older body. So I would like... So she was like, I'm going to think of that and I shall see how I can plug in. So that's one way I think of helping, because she was like, how can I need to draw you out, because there used to be Robai before caregiver. There's still a Robai before caregiving, but because caregiving, mothering, parenthood has taken everything, there's no Robai anymore. So for me, I've started to pick myself up. In the last 2 years, year and a half, is when I've started to become very aware of me and what I would like. And I've started knowing also, I think I like color this one. This is my favorite color. I like to eat this food. I can go out and enjoy a meal by myself.
Wow. And I am sure there are very few people who get to have such people asking them that, how can I? Because it's again another question. We all, caregivers will always ask, who takes care of a caregiver? Yes, because again, you need to be in your right mind, at the right place, so that you can be able to take care of.
Because you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are empty, you're empty. What are you giving?
Sometimes you get empty and mpaka you're drained, even the very blood you have. So you just skeletons moving, but then you still are expected to give.
Wow. So thank God for such people who ask caregivers, how can I, how can I help you?
I wish and I love what you're doing with this, because we need more and more people in the society asking such things, because I have often received comments like, but you should tell us, Imagine I can't. I don't even remember I need to tell. But if you are seeing me
Yeah.
and you are constantly, I know life happens to everybody,
Yeah.
but if you can once in a while just check in,
Yeah.
then I think society is really going to help.
Wow. How is the medication for Martin at this particular point? I know it's been years.
Yes.
So how is the medication?
Right now he's on one specific drug for pain, gabapentin, because he experiences a lot of pain. Every day he's in pain. I think I dare say every day and night, though the pain periods are kind of short-lived. There was a time he was in constant pain, trigeminal neuralgia. They say it's the most fourth painful pain any human being can ever experience. And for that period, it was crazy. Yeah, like lend his food. We used to say he has a drinking problem because he drank everything. But yeah, so we have been through a myriad of medication, myriad of care from different neurologists. So right now we are thankful because he only takes that one tablet in the morning and 2 in the evening. And then there's some supplements he takes, vitamin D3 and K2 and those ones. So we are there, but also because we have opted not to take the other medication that is currently available for MS. But that's because of just personal reasons. We've also not seen the results that are purported. So yeah. Because also this medicine is not cheap. There was a time I used to inject him every Friday. And one injection was 10,000 shillings every Friday. And we did it for 14 months. Wow. So that one, there's a time he's taken very expensive medicines. There's a time he used to take a jab for 92,000 per month, and that is because the neuro called for us. Otherwise it was 120,000, just one jab that I used to inject him every single day for every 28 days you get. Wow. So we've been through many. I
can imagine because the journey has been long. You do therapies?
Yes, he does physiotherapy now. He's on 3 times a week. So that one we've been through 2 days a week. Some weeks he's not able to, but now since last year it's been consistent 3 times a week, and there's a lot of improvement.
Wow, that's what I wanted to ask. Is it helping?
It is. Physio is really helpful. The therapies.
And do you do any do you see any psychology?
I have a friend who's decided to adopt us. She's a therapist.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so that is the other way. That's another reason why we are able to cope well. Because she decided, you know what, you are mine. This is how I am working with you. So consistently she checks in anytime there's something that's happening. Like I take blood pressure medicine because my blood pressure just misbehaves. I mean, it comes with the territory. But then she's decided that anytime there's something that is a little bit different, because she's our mother. Anytime there's something different, she knows, and so she takes that time, and I've noted the patterns to decide to let's get in depth. So yes, there's a place of therapy that you cannot ignore.
So that's something that you can encourage any caregiver out there?
Not encourage, tell them. Please get a therapist.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, it's good to know.
Yeah, because
sometimes people think they are okay, they are strong, and now when they come crashing down, it's when you have put everything.
And especially that word, you're strong. No. No, we are not strong. But get a therapist because life will be good. There are nights that Mato is in so much pain, I just text. He's in so much pain, or he has just fallen, I've just picked him up. I am so tired, I want to cry.
Wow. 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 That's interesting. And you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
I am so proud of you. Like the first day I watched a video of you taking care of Marty, I was like, what? I have to have a sit down with this one. And it's amazing. And it's an encouragement to those people who probably their second year, they're like, you know what?
I'm done.
I'm done. So when they hear this story, they're like, wow, 18 years. And it's not that you met Martin before, you know.
Yeah, not that he got sick.
Yeah, like you met him when he's already diagnosed, then you still chose him. Yeah, and we really thank God for what you're doing. It is amazing, and please keep up and keep shining, and may God give you the strength that you need and the peace that you need, and more people to stand by you and just encourage you to keep going, because when you're strong, Martin is strong. Yes.
And sometimes he's the one who strengthens me. So
Wow. You guys are friends. You guys are friends.
sometimes we just like, you know what, you'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Asante sana.
Thank
you
you.
for being here, and thank you for sharing your story. I am sure there are so many people who will be encouraged and even be touched by this particular story. So asante sana. Thank you for staying with us. And now we get to hear from the Martin. Karibu sana, Martin, to the show.
Asante, Esther.
Yes, and it's good to have you.
Wow. Awesome to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, can people know you?
Oh, yes. My name is Martin Mwirore Waweru, married to the beautiful lady who was here, Robai Mwirore. Robai Musribi Mwirore. We have 4 adopted children. Our latest is Lorraine. She finished Form 4 last year. So we have her here, maybe taking her to college. Who knows? At least helping each other. But I've been living with MS. They diagnosed me since 2002. But it's been before then. But they didn't have the equipment necessary to diagnose me. They do now. But I still had weakness. I was a football player and I couldn't use my right leg. I didn't know why. But in 2002, that's when they diagnosed me as having MS. And since then, I've been gliding.
Yeah.
With the same.
Wow. Wow. So what were the first symptoms that you had?
Well, I think my first symptom, like I said, I used to play football when I was in primary high school. Mm-hmm. But now, later on, and then I could not kick with my right leg. This was my power leg. Mm-hmm. But then I couldn't kick. I tell Robai I used to kick like a girl with this leg, but I could use both legs. So I ended up using the left leg. Though my right leg was the go-to leg, but I couldn't use it. Like my hand now, see, I can point you, but in this hand I can't. I have to point like my fingers are sort of bent inward. You know, I forget his name. He had to, Nelson, had to help me fold this leg because it's a bit. It just stays stretched out. So you have to fold it to be like this.
So is it that you could not feel your leg, or it didn't have the strength?
It didn't have the strength. I could see it. I want to tell it to kick, but it can't kick.
Okay.
Yeah, the communication between the brain center and the leg, the nerves in the leg, they were not communicating. Yeah. So I could not kick the ball. You know when you walk, your brain has to tell your left or right leg, okay, now move. Mm-hmm. This leg, I could not tell it that way. Yeah. Those are my initial
symptoms.
I can say, I thought it was fractured. That's all I knew back then. But I came to realize another military doctor hapa my airbase alikuja akasema get an MRI done. So we got the MRI done and they found out that I have some lesions in my brain, and they said, yeah, I have multiple sclerosis. Yeah. So that's, I was glad they found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was glad because people are saying I'm a rogue. He has AIDS. You know how things
Yeah.
can. Yeah, people had written me off as going, I'm about to die, and he has this, he has that, But thank God it was only MS.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with it with Robai. And so far, so good.
Wow. So for you, what keeps you going?
God has to be number one.
Amen.
For me. God has to be number one. And it's not been easy. It's a journey that if you do not have a greater power, my friend, you'd choose death. You understand? If you don't have that greater power.
Yeah.
Because like Robai was telling you about this pain, the neuralgia. There's another pain I used to have on my jaw, my lower jaw. I think it was on the left side. It was so painful. I remember I asked her so many times, please let me die. I'm tired of living, just let me die. Because it was so painful. And then they couldn't help you. But now, after it has come down to my hand, at least now, because this muscle is bigger than the one on the jaw. I mean, like even now I'm feeling pain, but pain that I can handle. I've taken one pill, take it 12, and I'll take 2 for sleeping. 8, I take 2. I used to take 6, 2 in the morning, 2 lunchtime, 2 in the evening. But now I reduce 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. I stopped the lunch hour. And now I've stopped the morning, 1 of them, so I take 1. It has not been so bad. At least one pill I can handle. Then I take 2 pills in the evening when I go to bed.
Yeah.
At 8. So around 8, my hand will start nagging. I just know it's about 8. So I just ask, what time is it? You tell me it's 8. Then I say, please take it all 2 pills, and then I take them. Then it relaxes up sometime.
Wow. So God.
God has to be there.
Yeah.
And then you have to have someone like Robai. Someone to, like in boxing, a sparring partner. Yeah, she's my sparring partner when I need her to be around. Yeah, we spar together, so that at least I can get over whatever hump I need to get over.
Yeah.
In simple words, how can you describe Robai?
Man. How can I describe Robai? Man, I think there's someone who said someone takes your breath away or something like that. Yeah, because if it was not her, were it not for her being in my life, I would rather have my breath taken away. You understand? I'd rather die. No, but with her around, at least I'm able to Kiswahili tunatoka kuvumilia. I'm able to just hang in there. But Robai is like that. She's just that one person you need to hold on to, and she'll see it through.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I would like you to talk to two people.
Yes.
The first person is the patient, because you have been the one being cared for.
Yes.
And you know, sometimes the challenges that come, at some point, Robai talked about entitlement and all that. So you talk to the patient from your experience as a patient, and then from what you have seen from caregivers, then you speak to a caregiver, like what your heart would want a patient to know and what your heart would want a caregiver to know. Yes.
Okay. Guys who are going through what I'm going through, or maybe even worse, and make sure, I think it's very important, very, very important. You have to know God. You have to know God. I mean, if anything else, make sure you know God for yourself. Yeah. Make sure you have that relationship with Him, because He will see you through all these various hurdles you go through. Yeah. With the pain and well, whether it's misdiagnosis or whatever else, relationship with your, what they call them, better halves, with other people, basically. You just make sure you know God. He will see you through all that.
Amen.
And He'll get you the right person to be with you. Yeah, as you walk through this walk. For caregivers, I will tell you, do not give up on your people. Don't give up on us. Sometimes, man, we feel like we are all alone in this world. But with the caregiver around, we have that hope that there's still light at the end of the tunnel. That the caregiver would somehow bring that to be for us. But if the caregiver left, then it will be almost impossible for any of us to make it through any day. Yeah, I know guys who have MS like me, and they are closest people left them with I don't know how many children, 4 children. But somehow God has seen them through. The children are married now. Some are in university, 4th year, whatever. But make sure, if you don't have a caregiver, make sure you have God. But make sure you have someone.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thank you.
Do it.
And thank you for just being open to also share your story. And the way you're hopeful, it is encouraging. It is really encouraging. And I want to wish you well. And keep the hope alive. Yeah, many will be encouraged even from watching this and just seeing how much you even appreciate your wife. Yeah, and we thank God for her as well. And may God strengthen you, and may He keep upholding you. Yes, you are more than a conqueror. Amen. Masante sana. That's an interesting one from Martin. Yes, let's keep listening.
So the game is called Sozo, the Disciples Game. And this game, by the grace of God, Robai and I came up with it. It's played by 2 to 12 people. Basically, disciples. Jesus had 12 disciples. So we're saying 2 to 12. So you can play 2 people and maximum 12 people. And then where can you get it? You can get it through us. We don't have any store that keeps it. 0722 297244. 0722 297244. That is Robai. Mtapata hapo Robai. So our game goes for 4-5. So tuma 245, tuma address yako, na kama kuna charges za delivery tutakwambia once you purchase the same. Their game goes for 4-5. So we tuma 245 and your address, and we'll have the game shipped to you. Yeah. I've also written a book by the grace of God. This one is called Bully with the Bully. It's basically for kids, maybe 10 and under, 10 years old and under. Well, there's some kids like Robai, can reach for them. It's okay. Robai doesn't mind. At night. No, so I Bully with the Bully. There's a Bolivar Goes to School coming up. Right now it's in the they call printers. Yeah, he called me just before this interview. It should be ready tomorrow. But I'll let you guys know. Bolivar Goes to School after this one. So get your copy. 200 bob. I think that one we will do it for 400 and 500 bob.
So we get to hear from our specialists.
Hi and good morning. Welcome. My name is Duncan Chengo, and I'll be hosting you for one more episode of Multiple Sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is a neurological disease. We say it's a demyelinating disease, meaning that it demyelinates, or it eats away the part of a nerve cell that we call the myelin sheath. Now, so that you can understand this better, I want to be more layman on how a nerve looks like. Now, take an example of an electric cable with plastic outside and many wires inside. Now, what covers the many wires inside is what you can call the myelin sheath. And therefore, what happens in multiple sclerosis, because it's an autoimmune disease, the body itself starts attacking its own cells, and then it begins biting slowly by slowly. What does it happen then? It exposes the nerves from inside, and therefore you have a challenge in how information is being conducted right from inside by the nerves, because there is an incomplete connection. And this is what we call multiple sclerosis, otherwise abbreviated as MS. So the question is, how then does multiple sclerosis cause paralysis? Paralysis is one among the many symptoms of multiple sclerosis, and understanding this is very important. And as I've just explained, the sort of anatomy of how multiple sclerosis becomes disabling, then the ability to stand, or the ability to walk, or the ability to sit, or the ability to conduct what we call motor patterns is heavily dependent on conduction of impulses by the nerves. And therefore, if there is a deficit in impulse connection, then it presents itself as a paralysis at some point. Now, there are other quick number of symptoms that you can find for people with multiple sclerosis, particularly in reference to Martin. Of course, I know the few episodes that Martin has had, standing and falling, and inability to coordinate the limbs, it's one of the biggest challenge. But before you go to rehabilitate, or we talk about how the diseases can be kept away, then understanding the whole concept of how this paralysis goes around becomes very important. Another symptoms experienced by patients of multiple sclerosis is vision impairment. As I've just explained, a myelin sheath is not only in the cells of the spinal cord, but also in the cells of the brain. And therefore, we call brain cells cerebral cells. Now, the cells that are responsible for your vision, we call it an optic nerve, and it is somewhere at the back of your skull, somewhere there. Now, this disease, as we talk, because it's autoimmune, it just eats the myelin sheath. Now, the optic nerve is designed or works in a manner that what it interprets is what you see. Now, if the disease has attacked the nerve cell and it has eaten a little bit, what eventually the nerves look like is, it looks like it's sclerotic. And it has many, many scars. And this eventually is translated to what you see. Now, what you see with time, because the nature of MS is that it's progressive. Eventually, it can become a permanent blindness issue. Just in the case of Martin, because Martin's case is not really peculiar. Now, allow me to go to the next symptom. As I refer to the next symptom, I'm not going to go away from Martin's story. And I want to talk about speech and swallowing. Now, again, for you to speak, you speak with muscles, and muscles are required to articulate sounds, because speech is a byproduct of sounds. Sounds are produced from the lungs, and sounds are classified into two. What we call, I take you back to your class 2 work, what we call consonants, if you can remember very well, and vowels. And other than that, when the lungs, because you also breathe using lungs, when the lungs cannot pump enough air, perhaps because their muscles have been sclerotic or something like that, there is no enough pressure again to be able to produce sounds. When sound is produced, for you to version sound into speech, then you need articulators. One of the major articulators of sound is the tongue. Tongue has a lot of muscles. Actually, tongue it's a network of muscles. Another one is the cheeks, the lips, the glottal. And if all of this have ended up being sclerotic, then it becomes very difficult for you to get sound as clear as you should. Now, I'm saying this because it will be very important when you talk about rehabilitation. If you don't understand the symptoms very well, then you will have challenges and difficulties in rehabilitating this disease. The last one, but not the least symptom I'm going to talk about, I want to talk about fatigue. And I want to talk to fatigue in relationship to sclerosis, in relation to scarring, or in the relationship to the myelination of the nerve cell. So neuro-rehabilitation is a very important part of managing clients with multiple sclerosis. And neuro-rehabilitation, again, can be classified into different professions based on how the disease challenges look like. It could be part of speech and language pathology. It could be part of swallowing. It could be ambulation or walking, which is purely work of a physiotherapist. It could be daily activities, things like toileting, things like buttoning, things like zipping, things like writing, typing, just to mention but a few. And therefore, rehabilitation is pegged on different professionals and their specialties. And therefore, each part of rehabilitations is handled separately by a professional. I want to talk about one very important part of rehabilitation, which is the hand, the upper limb, and activities of daily living. The human hand is very interesting, its anatomy, because it's like a tool that you use every day to engage or to serve yourself first before you serve others. And what you serve yourself, we call this one activities of daily living, and they are very, very personal to you. For example, you must groom yourself. You know, the way you do wash your face, comb your hair. For the women, they do, can't remember, what do you call this? Level 1, level 2, the mascara, the things, and then this one where you make your lips. And therefore, this is a very important chore for people with multiple sclerosis. Self-care comes first. Self-care matters are matters of human rights. And therefore, they come first even before the rest of the work is defined. Now, in hand rehabilitation, you focus on making sure that no client will lose the functions of the hand. And we do this in several ways. For example, we maintain what we call the hand prehensions. Hand prehensions include things like grasp, release, opposition of fingers, just to mention but a few. And then away from that, hand function cannot happen without the gross motor movement. These include movement of the shoulder, and then moving forward, moving back, moving aside, just to mention but a few. The other aspect of it is what I've just talked about, is speaking and swallowing, which technically they make part and parcel of feeding. Another feeding is an ADL, a very important chore in the human body. Now, it comes a time, because the whole essence of neuro-rehabilitation, number one, is to keep the symptoms away. And then number two is to prevent the disease from becoming more severe, and by keeping relapses away. Now, if the disease progresses at a point where you can no longer swallow, you can no longer eat, then it comes a time when now you need to find alternative means to feed. And the alternative means could be probably feeding with a tube or through a stoma in the tummy. So rehabilitation here includes practicing of the articulators, growing the strength of the articulators, and making sure articulators are the people we just talked about. Allow me to call them people in quotes. The tongue, the lips, the glottal, just to mention but a few. And then the most important here is breathing exercise, because we say speech is formed by the lungs, and its speech, before it becomes a speech, is an act of breathing. So keeping your lungs to practice breathing becomes very important. And then walking and mobility challenges. And I want to refer this particularly because it's a very big problem to Martin. Of course, there is research that has been published before on multiple sclerosis, and one among the complications of people with multiple sclerosis is falling. And rehabilitation for multiple sclerosis patients, the most important thing is falling. Is a strategy to prevent falls. When you fall, then it's like adding an insult to the injury. And therefore, in mobility transfer, we teach the patients how to lift themselves, how to shift weight from your working desk to the wheelchair, to the bed, to the toilet, and make sure that you can maneuver around. Of course, mobility and transfer goes hand in hand with what we call home modifications, because you cannot transfer yourself to a toilet which is not friendly for you to sit. Neither can you force your wheelchair to come in where the door is too small to allow the wheelchair to come out. So more environmental modifications become part and parcel of rehabilitation. Now, if then you can transfer yourself from one point to another, the next question is then, how do you cause walking to happen? This then includes things like using treadmill, things like standing, someone to help you to shift your weight to so that you can cause a step or two when you're walking. And then the last bit of rehabilitation then becomes modifying personal things to fit you. Now, if you're giving me a tie and you want me to go, you don't have to give me a complicated tie like this one that I must fix. You can make my tie to be, I just do like this, I fix it quickly. My trouser, make sure it doesn't have those buttons. My belt, I just do like this. So there's a way you can play around with modification of personal dresses to make sure that they fit nicely. This is just but part and parcel of multiple sclerosis symptoms. Yes. Quality of life for multiple sclerosis patients. Now, the rehabilitation techniques or rehabilitation strategy that we've just talked about, its main objective is to keep the quality of life up to date. Now, you cannot talk about quality of life when you don't understand what we call occupational balance. What are occupations? Occupations has got nothing to do with going to the office. Very little, if anything. Occupations go far behind being a teacher or being a doctor or being an engineer. Occupation just before you become a teacher. Occupations are those things that you engage every single day when you wake up in the morning so that you can be human enough. All right? These things include like waking yourself from bed to sitting, standing up, all right? Going to the toilet. When you go to the toilet, you just don't go to the toilet, but you go to the toilet and deliver your member inside the toilet. And then, I'm not sure, sometimes you may think toileting is so that easy. You may want to understand something. People with multiple sclerosis, they go to the toilet and they start calling their members to come, because what connects that automatic sense sometimes may not automatically be there. And therefore they go there, then we want to take a minute or two. And therefore there's no quality of life when you can't do your own self-hygiene. And this is technically all the objectives of rehabilitation and what priorities in rehabilitation, particularly for the professionals, look like. Thanks for that question. Importance of consistency in therapy. Now that I've taken a lot of time trying to explain the nature, the anatomy, and the physiology of multiple sclerosis, you use this knowledge now and then transfer it now to how important therapy is. Now, the central nervous system is a very interesting organ. And the central nervous system has a need. We call this one an interoceptual need. Interoceptual needs are needs that you can't control. And the central nervous system is wired to learn. It's a very interesting organ. Its work is just to learn. And I know the work learning is a long story, and it's one of the theories. The learning theory has been written by different authors, and no even a single author who has ever been in contrary agreement with the principles of learning. Now, in learning, you can't learn without consistency. Learning you must apply again and again and again and again, frequency, intensity, and repetitive manner of when you do, how you do, what you do becomes very important in rehabilitating patients for multiple sclerosis. Now, you must understand the anatomy first so that you can understand the importance, how consistency is. Remember, in the introduction of multiple sclerosis, when we refer to Martin's case, we said the disease bites and eats the myelin sheath. Now, the myelin sheath has ability to grow. Now, another very principle in learning. We say the central nervous system is neuroplastic. What does that mean? Meaning the newly grown cells, through the process of healing, or the already existing cells that have not been touched or eaten by the disease, they have an equal capacity to learn. That's what we call neuroplasticity. But now, for them to learn, they need to be taught, and you can only teach through therapy. In other words, in a layman's language, therapy is a technique of re-educating nerve cells to learn what they have either forgotten or to learn something new in addition to what they had already learned. Now, if the one who had learned has been beaten away by the disease, the neighbor next door, just next door, has an exactly 100% capacity to learn again. But for this to learn again, you can't ignore the concept of consistency. And therefore, consistency in rehabilitation is paramount, it is important, it cannot be ignored. Realistic improvements for therapy. Therapy is real. Therapy is scientific. Therapy works. This is not a hoax. Therapy is the only tool through which you can feed the nerve information. And therefore, the reality of therapy can be seen through improvement. Now, of course, I know in the world of research, when you are talking about measurement of success from a therapy, you need to have some very standardized tool. Unfortunately, in our Kenyan setup, we do have a problem because some of these standardized tools are very expensive to have them around, and we may know them. However, one of the things that I'm deeply convinced about is that you'd always hear a comment from your client, for example, today I buttoned my shirt. That's progress. You can hear, today I managed to sit myself when I woke up in the morning. That's progress. You hear some comments like, I typed a paragraph today. That's progress. So you measure the progress of the therapy by how you served yourself first before you went ahead to serve the others. And this is the reality of therapy. So the caregiving burden of patients of multiple sclerosis is a discussion. I wouldn't take this further without having to take an opportunity to salute Robai for the good work that she's done. Robai, this is not easy. And standing by the side and being there all the time and having to take time and give up many things that you've given us so that you can support. We are grateful on behalf of Martin. I know this sometimes, sometimes we have this habit of saying these words when we are going to funerals. And when you say, you did, it's important for you, Robai, to tell you that you have done a good job. And thanks a lot for the continued support. So, caregiving is very important for patients of multiple sclerosis, and it becomes part and parcel of the journey. Allow me to talk about several types of caregivers. One, you can have a caregiver who is right in action all the time. And this could be a professional. You can have a professional caregiver, or you can have a family member, or you can have a friend. Now, people with multiple sclerosis, sometimes they have challenges even transfer from, for example, from bed to the wheelchair. So that means you need someone to come and literally lift you up and put you on a wheelchair. And that is part of the most difficult part of caregiving. We've ignored this for long enough, and I must talk about it because we are here. Who takes care then of the caregiver who does the daily caregiving? And this is a very important question, and we may want to revisit this at a later day. However, it is very important when you, particularly you are a front door caregiver, you do the daily stuff. You also learn how to take care of yourself. If you're not careful, you need to learn how to lift. All right? You need to know how to take a break and go take coffee with someone. Take some time and watch a movie. Because if you're not very careful, you wake up in the morning, you are lifting, you are feeding, you are taking to the toilet, and it becomes a vicious cycle of everyday work. And therefore, caregiving is a very important part of rehabilitation. Caregivers who are not there to lift, but they are there to provide finance. They are the owners of the logistics. They are the decision makers, And one of the most important things, particularly for these caregivers, is what we call mental health. Of course, I'm not saying that Martin, directly affected people like Martin should be ignored when it comes to mental health. I've just been talking about Martin a few minutes. But for now, I want to talk about mental health for the ones who are not directly involved. This includes like family, all right? It's very important for you to know how to take care of your mental health. This includes things like taking a walk every morning. And the most important part of it is getting someone to talk to. Talking is very important. And it has what we call a cathartic effect. Getting someone to say or to tell where it is paining. Imekutoka. And that's very important. You just need to speak it out. And what is spoken out is no longer held at heart. And there is a notion that when you say when you are in pain, you are weak. And that is a myth that we need to kill within the African circles. You become strong, and you are more stronger when you say what is in your heart, how it is battling you, just speaking it out. And this becomes a very important place to create a safe space where the caregivers themselves or the directly affected people can go and pour their concerns. To the directly affected patients, mental health is very important. It is not easy for you to stay knowing, and I know Martin can talk about this one better, knowing that yesterday you are working and today you are not working. And then the next question you ask yourself, what is happening? What will happen tomorrow? And knowing or getting to that vulnerable level where you can manage your mind to focus is very important. And again, how do you do this? Talking to people becomes very important. Look for someone who you can say what you feel and then empty your heart so that you can have a place to remain seen now. This is the burden of multiple sclerosis management. My message to persons living with multiple sclerosis, whether you have been diagnosed or you are newly diagnosed, this is very important. Getting a multiple sclerosis diagnosis is not a death sentence. Martin will tell you, and I know Martin, you know this very well. Since from 2002, you probably expected, if you had a picture of 2026 to date, it's been over 20 years plus. And therefore, I'm saying it's not a death sentence. If you can manage to get that right, then there are some mistakes you will not make. For example, and this is very common, living your work, resigning from your work to go and stay at home. So what should you do if you don't want to resign? And I want to teach you about some things we call them accommodations at place of work. Now, accommodations, they are meant to be there so that you can sustain what you have always done without having to follow the same path that every other Tom, Dick, and Harry are passing through. Work flexibility, for example, working from home. Work hours, like I told you, one of the biggest complaints of clients with multiple sclerosis is fatigue. You can sleep during the day, but work at night, particularly at night when it is cold. Because when it is hot, people with multiple sclerosis tend to be more fatigued. And therefore, managing when to work and learning how to chunk your work into small pieces and giving yourself targets. Now, because we said multiple sclerosis attacks some simple functions like the functions of the hand, this is a computer. And knowing that I can tap this computer and speak to it and it types what I want, as opposed to me being on the keyboard all the time, it's a very important accommodations that you may want to say, to know as a patient with multiple sclerosis. And therefore, technological accommodations are very important, knowing how to use technology to get your work done. You don't have to type all the time, but there is so many ways you can use this computer to get your work done. And therefore, my advice is to you, do not leave your work early. For whatever reason, if you have already left your work early already, you can still work again. And now, I want to introduce our leg to another type of an accommodation here, and we call them job redescriptions. With a small, based on which part of you has been highly affected. There are those whose eyes are perfect and only hands, and the hands are perfect. Okay, those eyes have been affected, but the hands are perfect. You can still learn how to do some things using your hands. Those whose eyes are still working very much and the hands are not working, there's so much good technology now these days that you can do like this and clink. In other words, with technology, you get everything done. So you can still go back to work again. Please do not stay at home idle. If you stay at home idle, then I can assure you struggle with mental health. Look for something to keep yourself busy. Now, when I talk about work to women is different, and work to a mother is well cut. And to all mothers who have been affected, my advice to you is do not kill your motherhood. You can still remain being a mother. Find how you can modify that sink. Cook for the children. Find how when the children come school, you can still enjoy a movie together. Find how you can still go to your shopping. Find means and how you can still go have coffee with the rest of the girls. All right? This is very important. Our office is on Go Road, directly opposite Coptic Hospital on Moshai Drive. 100 meter down the road on Moshai Drive. We are located on the right side of Moshai Drive. Our telephone number is 0780 999 708. We are at Ability Therapy Place on all social handles. On Twitter, at Ability Therapy Place. On Facebook, at Ability Therapy Place. On website is at Ability Therapy Place, www.co.ke.
Thank you so much, Daktari. That was quite insightful, and we really appreciate you for always coming through whenever we need you. And if Robai and Martin's story has touched you, please share with someone. Like and comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can reach as many people as we can, so that we can encourage and tell these stories that many people don't know about. And remember always, on Behind the Diagnosis, every story matters and every voice deserves to be heard. See you next time.